White House tries to regroup, but Trump isn't helping Washington Armed Forces Pacific. In its effort to regain control of its message, the White House has curtailed press briefings, redirected questions on the Russia investigation to an outside lawyer and planned a major infrastructure policy rollout for this week. But as long as President Donald Trump has a smartphone, no White House strategy is safe. The sun was still rising Monday when Trump upended best-laid plans with a blitz of provocative statements delivered via Twitter. He assailed his own Justice Department for its legal strategy to defend his travel ban, potentially creating new headaches as his administration seeks the Supreme Court's backing for the order. And he renewed his criticism of the Mayor of London, a city recovering from a weekend vehicular knife attack that left 7 people dead. To the extent that there is a process for making decisions and communicating them, he seems to ignore it more often than not, Alex Conant, a top advisor to Sen. Marco Rubio's presidential bid, said of the president. Indeed, the president's freewheeling, undisciplined style has made it nearly impossible for the White House to regroup after weeks of damaging reports about possible ties between his campaign and Russia, as well as a steady drumbeat of speculation about internal conflict and disarray. The struggle will come to a head Thursday when fired FBI Director James Comey is due to testify on Capitol Hill. Efforts to create a war room stocked with former campaign officials and top-flight lawyers now appear stalled. 3 people briefed on the matter said the process has been bogged down by a lack of decision-making in the West Wing over how to proceed, as well as reluctance from some of those the White House hoped to recruit about serving a president who keeps getting in his own way. Anybody with press chops looks at this and they're fearful there's not a path to succeed, said Sarah Fagan, former White House political director for George W. Bush. Even George Conway, the husband of White House Counselor Kellyanne Conway, appeared to give voice to the frustrations Monday. Mimicking a favorite Trump expression, Conway wrote on Twitter that the president's comment on the travel ban won't help the administration get votes in the Supreme Court, which is what actually matters. Sad, Conway confirmed to the Associated Press that the tweet was authentic. His comments came days after he announced he was withdrawing from consideration for a top Justice Department post. His wife took a different approach. During a Monday morning appearance on the Today Show, Kellyanne Conway condemned the media's obsession with covering everything he says on Twitter, and very little of what he does as president. Trump supporters have long touted his unfiltered tweets and other communications as an unparalleled advantage. Yet some allies are now urging caution given the legal questions shadowing the White House. My personal view is that there should be a review process because of the sensitivity of so many of them, said Chris Ruddy, a longtime friend of Trump and CEO of the conservative outlet Newsmax. White House spokesman Sarah Huckabee Sanders said Monday that she was not aware of the president's tweets being vetted by lawyers before being blasted out to the world. White House Director of Legislative Affairs Mark Short, meanwhile, insisted the president's efforts were often very effective, and said Trump was elected because voters were hungry for a nonconformist candidate who would change the culture in Washington, and so he may not have a conventional style in doing that, but many of his efforts are extremely helpful to us in getting our legislation accomplished, Short said. As part of the White House's efforts to recalibrate, Sanders is taking on a more visible role at daily briefings instead of Press Secretary Sean Spicer, who has gained national celebrity for his often combative interactions with reporters. While Spicer did appear in the briefing room last week, his appearances were brief, including a 12-minute question-and-answer session that the White House would not allow to be aired on television. On Monday, Sanders took the podium and appeared to acknowledge for the first time that Spicer would be a less frequent on-camera presence for the White House. He is taking on a little bit of extra duty at this point, she said. There are a lot of demands on his schedule, particularly given the fact that there's not a communications director. Mike Dubke resigned as communications director last month and served his final day in the White House on Friday. He has not yet been replaced. The White House has made a conscious decision to avoid answering questions about the Russia probes, referring inquiries to Mark Kasovitz, the president's outside counsel. Kasovitz has so far had no comment on the investigations, leaving those questions unanswered. A trio of top W.